I do agree, like, that Texas is definitely, like, a pretty Republican state and a pretty pro-Trump state. I know Beto made a comment to the effect of, I would be willing to work with Trump, and I feel like I would have to, because that's what, if I was elected, that's what my constituents would want me to do, which I feel is, like, absolutely the right tactic for him to take. Because the idea of having like, maybe you could stand with having somebody who, like, talks to you, but if they're going to, disrespect the guy that you voted for, or refuse to cooperate with the guy you voted for, who would be Trump in this case, it's going to be really hard to convince former Trump voters to go Beto. I do think he has some pull in the sort of disillusioned Trump voters, I guess, especially, educated suburbs, women, and that sort of demographic that voted for Trump but maybe isn't completely all in. I think that's where Beto is going to find a lot of his Republican base.
Of anyone who could support, like, any Republican who would support them, that would be it. Like, but what I was really kind of wondering is, like, how do, say you're a Republican, like, you support Donald Trump in the election, you see everything that plays out, and now you have Ted Cruz running in a race. Like, is it all just come down to, like, the Republican politics, the only politics that matter? Like, you support that, like, they both support abortion, they both are not, like, pro-life, and they're both, like, anti-immigration, and so you just kind of, like, say, well, it's a race, you got to make decisions, or do you, like, support Trump over Cruz? Like, how were Trump and Cruz able to bring their collective supporters together in what that rally we saw a few weeks ago?
Honestly, I think that Trump outwardly supporting Cruz has been a boost for him, for sure. Like, because obviously, there was that whole snafu with, does he support Trump? Doesn't he support Trump? And then finally, like, the phone banking. And so to show that sort of Republican solidarity, I guess, was an important step for him. However, I really don't feel like it's that. I feel like it's a bigger factor almost on the Democratic side, with, people being so angry about Trump and about the DACA, and we have had a lot of the child separation. Texas has been one of the biggest states for that. So I almost feel like it affects more on the Democratic side than the Republican side, because the Republican feelings about Trump can be very, very mixed, just because sort of the wide-ranging ways he implements the policies.
Yeah, what was the general, like, reaction within Texas to the family separations? Was it kind of like just a general dislike, or, like, what was the broad consensus?
I mean, I feel like there was this sort of universal sense of horror almost at this. Obviously, I'm in Austin, so I can't really speak for the rest of Texas, but there was definitely this general sense of horror and dismay that not only is it happening, in America, is that it's happening here. And the conditions at the Texas places where they're housing these children is horrific. And so there was definitely a lot of awareness in Texas about it, and a push, I think, that was aware of the situation, but really wanted to make sure these kids could get back reunited with their families. I think even from a Republican side, it's pretty difficult to support the degree of incompetency and the general policy of the child separation policy.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's definitely a very tough thing to support. Wrap your mind around from either way, unless you're a very far right Republican, that's for sure. Yeah. So, is there any other races outside of the Texas borders that you're particularly interested in seeing tonight?
any other races I'm watching?
Yeah. Outside of Texas.
Not especially, honestly. I've been pretty laser focused. There's a school board election that's also going down right now for my city, so I've been trying to follow and keep up with that as best as I can, reporting on that for my school's paper. But I know there's a lot of very, competitive elections, obviously, and the midterm turnout, even so far around the country, has been absolutely historic. Mm-hmm. So I'm really excited to see what happens across the country tonight.
Do you have any predictions? Like last minute, we had been asking a lot of people today. Like, what are your predictions? What do you see happening?
Honestly, I think for Texas, for Texas statewide stuff, it's going to be Republicans.
Yeah.
Across the board, for sure. And if the youth turnout really spikes, then it's going to be Beto for Senate. Yeah, but that's almost still a question mark, because there's been high youth turnout, but there hasn't been 50% youth turnout. So it's definitely going to be a night to remember either way.
Yeah, definitely going to be a dramatic race, and there are definitely a lot more dramatic races across the country that are going to be very interesting. All right, Clara, Thank you so much for coming in today. Keep up doing the great reporting on your city for your newspaper. That's great. I can't wait to see you have a great career as well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. You too.
All right.
Thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah, it was a great pleasure to have you on. All right, that's it for us today. We're going to be back at 8 with the results as our midterm coverage continues.